Rick Weinberg.
There has never been a team in the history of the NBA to go from title contender to lottery team to conference contender, as the Golden State Warriors have, all in a span of about 7 months.
I think we probably was the first, and hopefully we're not the last.
Golden State was primed to contend for the Western Conference Championship last season, a year after winning 50 games. But what transpired was a nightmare. 2 days before the season began, Billy Owens was traded. 15 days later, Chris Webber, embroiled in an ugly feud with coach Don Nelson, was traded to Washington for Tom Gugliotta, ripping the team apart emotionally. All-star guard Latrell Sprewell was so furious over the trades, he refused to speak to Nelson and Tim Hardaway, a Nelson favorite.
The hardest thing for me to deal with last year was probably the trades and the fact that, you know, everything, well, the way it went down was like Webb was the bad guy.
Then things got downright nasty. The Warriors lost 40 of 56 games, Nelson got ill and resigned, and Gugliotta, a reminder of a lost season, wound up being traded 3 months after arriving. But after the disastrous season, the Warriors' fortunes made a complete reversal. They won the lottery, hired Rick Adelman, a solid coach who took the Trailblazers to 2 NBA Finals, and with that #1 pick came Joe Smith.
Joe Smith looked real good. He's been playing hard, been playing well. He just got to get a little bit stronger. But he's a good player. He's a good rebounder, can block shots, can shoot the ball. He got the whole package.
He has the ability right now to step in and be a good rebounder. He's going to score points for us. But what Joe Smith really gives you is he's a young man who works his tail off. He's got a great attitude. He's very receptive to listening and what it's going to take, and he adapts very quickly.
If everything goes right, though, do you have the talent to be a title contender?
Well, I think we have the talent to be in the playoffs, and if you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. This team has a lot of veteran players who've been in the playoffs, but our goal right now is to try to get there. And once we get there, we'll see what kind of chance we have at that point.
The Warriors will have no trouble scoring and rebounding, but defensively, Golden State allowed a league-worst 111 points per game last season, an issue Adelman addresses daily.
If you're going to win and get to the playoffs and then win, you have to defend. You at least have to stop people more times than they can stop you. I don't know if this team's ever going to be a great defensive team, but they certainly can be better than last year.
I love his coaching style. He really emphasizes defense, and that's the thing that I always felt we never had here. Somebody that's going to emphasize the significance of defense.
Anything will be better than last year's debacle, and as the Warriors' new media guide illustrates, this season is a fresh start for a new team with a glittering future.
The last year ending was very negative. We're trying to change it to a positive situation where we're building something here, and I think the players have bought into it.
For the Press Box, I'm Rick Weinberg.
I don't think there's any question the Warriors have a great starting five. It's their bench they got to worry about.
Well, Adelman should know what it takes to get over the top because he's come close and knows how frustrating it can be.
Taking the Blazers to the finals a couple
in the NBA this season, but they're not without their problems. More on this, plus other news from around the NBA, NFL, NHL, and the major leagues. Rick Weinberg brings us this week's edition of the Press Box Insider.
Roy Tarpley, the Dallas Mavericks' troubled and controversial center who was sidelined with a mysterious pancreas ailment, has been asked by management to accept the payoff on the remaining 5 years of his contract and retire. The Mavs feel Tarpley's career may be over, and more importantly, that his life is in jeopardy because of the illness. Management could void his contract, but fears it'll catch too much flack from the players' union. Dallas is going to offer Tarpley $500,000 annually for the next 20 years if he agrees to retire. That would eliminate his salary from the cap and allow the Mavericks to sign a marquee free agent next season. Chicago Bears coach Dave Wannstedt is seriously concerned about his team's inability to move the ball in late-game possessions. Chicago has the second highest scoring offense in the NFL, but it didn't score a point in the final quarter of Sunday's loss to Green Bay. And one Chicago player says the problem isn't only poor execution, it's unaggressive play calling. Free agents such as slugger Jose Canseco of the Red Sox and smooth fielding Mark Grace of the Cubs cannot command huge contracts this offseason because Major League salaries are beginning to spiral downward. Free agent market prices were established at lower rates, according to several GMs, when Ken Caminiti recently took a $1.5 million pay cut from the Padres. And when Dante Bichette re-upped with the Rockies for $3.6 million annually for 3 years, a National League GM tells me it's a resounding sign of contracts to come. Jeremy Roenick, the Blackhawks' high-scoring center, expects this season to be his last in Chicago and next season to be his first in Boston. Roenick is in the final year of a 5-year deal, and contract talks with Chicago have completely broken down. If Roenick is not traded this season, he may hold out next year and force a move to Boston. Karl Malone, the Utah Jazz's sensational high-scoring forward, has given new meaning to the word Iron Man by playing with a dislocated finger while continuing to put up all-star numbers. Team trainers felt Malone might be out 4 weeks, but the mailman has not missed a game and has averaged 27 points and 10 boards since the injury. The pain has been so severe at times that tears have welled up in Karl Malone's eyes, and several coaches, including Lenny Wilkins of the Hawks, say they haven't seen such mental and physical toughness from a player in years. I'm Rick Weinberg, and we'll see you next week on the Press Box Insider.
All I want to know is what's wrong with a nice parquet floor, a little green lane, simple.
You love those new floors. Time for our prime performance, and we take Rick Weinberg loose, and every Friday he comes back with the inside scoop from the NFL, NBA, NHL, and the major leagues. We then toss in a little video and some special effects, and the finished product is our weekly edition of the Press Box Insider.
Anthony Mason, the Knicks' aggressive and powerful forward, has begun the first wave of rips that will surely escalate as New York braces for its first showdown with Pat Riley and the Heat. Mason says the atmosphere in Gotham is less tense without Riley, and that the Knicks' new coach, Don Nelson, laughs and jokes around, something Riley did very little of. Mason also says Riley held back the offense, restricting it to Patrick Ewing and John Starks, while Nelson has opened it up, getting everyone to contribute, making the Knicks more difficult to defend. When Buddy Ryan is ultimately fired at the end of this disastrous season, the hardest hit the organization will take is the defection of Eric Swan, one of the league's most feared pass rushers. Ryan tried to talk owner Bill Bidwell into giving Swan a 3-year extension early in the season, but Bidwell refused. Now, with Swan headed for free agency, one NFC personnel director says at least 10 teams will bid for the all-pro tackle. Sammy Sosa, the Chicago Cubs' flamboyant slugger, will be a free agent if players are given service time during the strike year. Sosa has blossomed into one of baseball's most electrifying talents after slamming 36 homers and stealing 34 bases. And if granted free agency, Phillies GM Lee Thomas says Sosa may be the most sought-after non-pitcher on the market. Mario Lemieux, the Pittsburgh Penguins' unstoppable scoring machine, played in back-to-back games for the first time this week, but league officials were upset when number 66 chose to play against the Sharks last week rather than Wayne Gretzky and the Kings the following night. There is no greater attraction in the league than Super Mario versus the Great One, and as one executive in the NHL offices points out, there aren't many more opportunities for the megastars to skate together, and Mario should have considered the marketing of the league more seriously. Paul Tagliabue, the beleaguered NFL commissioner who's had the most forgettable year imaginable, may face his most humiliating moment if he has to present Cowboys owner Jerry Jones with the Vince Lombardi Trophy for winning the Super Bowl, an event that would conjure up memories of former NFL commish Pete Rozelle handing his #1 enemy, Al Davis of the Raiders, the Super Bowl hardware 11 years ago. Jones and Tagliabue are playing dueling lawsuits in what has been a nightmare season for the commish. One AFC owner laughs at the prospect of Jones and Tagliabue standing side by side on Super Bowl Sunday, saying it would be a fitting conclusion to the most bizarre and controversial season in NFL history. I'm Rick Weinberg, and we'll see you next week on the Press Box Insider.
All right, thanks, Rick. One other note, a preliminary injunction has been issued by a Cleveland judge that will prevent Browns owner Art Modell from moving his team to Baltimore until the lawsuit between the city and the team is tried in court.
Amazing news there. Coming up, we'll have our college football preview.
We've got news from Major League Baseball, including the latest on the tax problems of Hall of Famer Duke Snider.
And will the Reds keep Darren Lewis, or is this outfielder getting his walking papers? We'll tell you when we come back.
Okay, board. Who thinks Dion should play wide receiver?
Fades back. He's got Dion wide open. What a catch!
I hope Coach Schwitzer's checking this out.
Football according to Dion. Primetime NFL. Sports.
A child living in poverty overseas drew this hopeful picture. To help make a needy child's hope a reality, call Child Reach at 1-800-289-5900. Child Reach sponsorship. It works.
I love her.
I love you.
Obsession for Men. Calvin Klein.
Get the nation's top NFL and college selections from the pros on the Sports Advisors, America's #1 sports information program. Watch Stu Feiner, Kevin Duffy, Ty Gasson, and me, Dr. Ron Bash. Catch the Sports Advisors right here Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 a.m. And don't forget to call our free top selection phone line at 800-831-1710. The Sports Advisors, your source for college and pro football selections every weekend.
The Ford guys keep telling me how tough the Ranger is. I said, how tough could it be?
The Ranger's always been tough. But now it just got easy. To buy, that is. With $750 cash back or 3.9 APR. 3.9 for 4 full years. It's hard to find a better deal on a truck. The Ford Ranger. Tough to beat, easy to buy.
Press Box is brought to you by Escape for Men, Calvin Klein.
Gabriel Ruelas returned to the ring tonight for the first time since tragedy struck in his last fight, and his opponent Jimmy Garcia died following the bout. He returned to boxing with quite a challenge, defending his WBC super featherweight title against former champion Azuma Nelson. Now, Nelson always fights tough, and tonight was no exception. In the first round, Nelson floors Ruelas with an overhand right. Ruelas would continue. In the fourth, Nelson punishing Ruelas inside, finally putting him down with the left hook. Ruelas barely survived the round. To the fifth, Ruelas, his heart clearly not in it. Nelson just dealing out the punishment. Finally, referee Martin Denton stops the fight. His trainer, Joe Goosen, visibly upset. Azuma Nelson recaptures the WBC super featherweight title. Now, even though he lost, Ruelas committed to donating all of his proceeds from the pay-per-view earnings to a fund for Jimmy Garcia's children. Right now, those figures are estimated to come in around $400,000. Bill?
Let's get on to some baseball news. Hall of Famer Duke Schneider was sentenced today to 2 years probation and fined $5,000 after pleading guilty earlier this year to tax evasion charges related to memorabilia and card shows. Schneider has admitted to not reporting income generated from card shows over a 10-year period. Fellow Hall of Famer Willie McCovey has also pled guilty to 1 count of tax evasion. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Reds, trying to reduce their payroll for next year, placed outfielder Darren Lewis on waivers. The Reds obtained Lewis in the Deion Sanders deal from San Francisco. He hit .250 with 1 home run, 24 runs batted in. He had 32 stolen bases.
Time to do as we do every Friday and bring you the inside scoop from the NBA, NHL, NFL, and Major Leagues. So without further ado, here's Rick Weinberg with our weekly installment of the Press Box Insider.
Charles Oakley, the New York Knicks rebounding machine, is being pursued by the Denver Nuggets, who are desperate for veteran front court help. When Denver traded Rodney Rogers and Brian Williams to the Clippers as part of the Antonio McDyess package, management felt it had enough to compensate until Alfonso Ellis returns from a devastating knee injury. But the Nuggets can't wait any longer. And as Pistons coach Will Robinson says, not only will Oakley immediately solve Denver's front court problems, he turns it into an automatic playoff team. Don Shula's future with the Dolphins and the question of whether he'll be replaced by Jimmy Johnson is one of the hottest and most compelling stories in the NFL in years. Clearly, Dolphins owner Wayne Huizenga is in a difficult position. He wants to remain loyal to Shula, yet the city of Miami is screaming for Johnson. Here's what's going to happen according to a team official. After the season, the Dolphins owner will plead with Shula to retire and endorse Johnson as his replacement, thereby making a gracious exit that will save Shula and the organization any embarrassment. With Devon White, baseball's best defensive center fielder, having defected from Toronto to join the Marlins, the Blue Jays are hot for free agent Otis Nixon, who's about to turn 37, but is coming off a season in which he batted .295 and stole 50 bases. Nixon is also being chased by the Pirates, whose leadoff men finished 10th in batting last season. And with ownership giving GM Cam Bonifay more payroll flexibility and manager Jim Leland fond of Nixon's abilities, it might be an excellent match. Rich Kotite of the Jets and Buddy Ryan of the Cardinals are among a small group of NFL coaches who have the dual role of general manager. And because of their miserable failing this season, owners have finally begun to realize they must let coaches coach and GMs be GMs. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says it's too difficult for coaches to juggle both responsibilities in this era of salary caps and free agency. And that's perhaps the primary reason the Jets, Cardinals, and even the Patriots have floundered so badly this season. Eddie Johnson, the highly successful Penguins coach, is threatening to file a protest with the league, claiming referees aren't calling some penalties on opponents because Pittsburgh's power play is so devastatingly effective. The Penguins are on a pace to set the all-time record in power play goals. But Brian Lewis, the league's director of officiating, says there's absolutely no basis for Pittsburgh's complaint. And if one is filed, it'll be automatically dismissed. I'm Rick Weinberg, and we'll see you next week on the Press Box Insider.
All right, thanks, Rick. Informative as usual. Something a little lighter, though?
I don't know if it's lighter or not. Very good segue. Let's go to our prime performer.
Here's our Press Box Insider with Rick Weinberg.
Michael Jordan, the Bulls' electrifying high-wire act, says his future in Chicago is directly tied to Scottie Pippen. Jordan becomes a free agent after the season, but has no intention of leaving Chicago. When I asked him what length of contract he was looking for, he said the number of years Pippen has left on his contract, which is 2. MJ met frequently with his agent David Falk on the Bulls' recent West Coast trip, outlining various details of what will be his final basketball contract. Barry Switzer's lack of preparation and direction has several Cowboys grumbling, and not only is the mood in Dallas grim, but there is the fear that the team will get upset early in the playoffs. With Charles Haley out for the season, the defense is in disarray, and it's clear opposing coaches have figured out the formula to slow the offense down. While opponents stack the line to contain Emmitt Smith, they can still double-team Michael Irvin since there isn't another impact wide receiver, leaving Switzer and the boys fearing the reality of failure. The incredible blow-up between Patrick Waugh and Coach Mario Trombley that sent Waugh packing to Colorado was not surprising but expected, according to several of Waugh's former Montreal teammates. Waugh detested Trombley partly because of viciously critical remarks Trombley made while doing analysis for Canadian telecasts earlier this season. Trombley never respected Waugh for what he is, one of the all-time greatest, and one Northeast Division GM says Montreal would have been wiser dumping Trombley, not Waugh. Jose Canseco, one of baseball's best power hitters, was contacted by Tony La Russa about playing first base for the Cardinals before he wound up re-signing with the Red Sox. Canseco and La Russa had an ugly breakup with the A's, but La Russa is desperate for offense, and he telephoned his former slugger at his Florida home, where he's taking 100 ground balls daily to become more versatile. But Canseco's strong ties with Red Sox skipper Kevin Kennedy and a warm relationship with Boston's demanding fans were deciding factors in staying in Beantown, along with, of course, money. Sean Bradley, the 7'6" stick with one of the weakest games in the NBA, might not be a New Jersey Net very long. Bradley is virtually useless for a less talented team like the Nets. His deficiencies must be hidden so he can simply block shots and rebound. The Jazz would love to get their hands on Bradley, a Mormon who would feel comfortable in Utah. And if a deal can be struck, a veteran NBA scout says it may mean a trip to the finals. I'm Rick Weinberg. We'll see you next week on the Press Box Insider.
All right, Rick, still to come, we'll preview this week's big NFL games, but up next in the Skybox, someone who knows a lot about big games.
That is for sure. Jim Plunkett led the Raiders to
as well.
That's right. Tonight he packed the house at Madison Square Garden. Oscar defending his WBO lightweight title against Jesse James Leija. There's Oscar coming into the Garden, and he was ready and raring to go. Late second round, Oscar turns up the heat. Right hook connects, and Leija goes down. Oscar wastes no time putting this one away. Just before the bell, the flurry ends with Leija on the canvas. Bell rings, but the ref gives him a count. And he's seen enough. That's it. Oscar retains his title and remains undefeated. Our own Larry Burnett on hand at Madison Square Garden.
And he's standing by now with a special guest. So let's head to New York. Larry?
All right, thanks. I'm here with Oscar, who has once again retained his lightweight championship. It looked as though you kind of felt your way through the first round, and then when he couldn't get close, you just nailed him. What was going on in the second round?
Well, that was part of the learning process of trying to study him in the first round, trying to see what he has, trying to see what he has to offer. And in the second round, I started feeling a bit warmed up. I felt a bit confidence because I knew he couldn't take the power. He was a very strong fighter, a good, worthy opponent. I trained very hard for this fight, and thank God I got the victory.
You had a little trouble getting down to 135. There was some concern you might not have the power because being dehydrated during the week, you looked like you had the power.
I was very dehydrated. I was kind of struggling to make the weight. It was very difficult for myself, for my body to adjust to what I was doing up in the ring because the sluggishness that I felt up in the ring, it was there and I felt it. It was a bit difficult, but therefore I can now move on to a junior welterweight, which I'm going up in a few months. I'll be fighting at 140 pounds and facing up good champions up there.
Julio Cesar Chavez was in the crowd tonight. You got one tune-up before you take him on next year. Did you want to show him something tonight and yet not show him everything?
What we were trying to show is more of my boxing abilities, trying to box him, trying to stay on my toes, trying to move side to side, trying to confuse my opponent. My strategy for my upcoming fights will be a totally different one. I will be doing a totally different game plan for my different opponents. So this fight here, we weren't trying to show too many moves because there was some good scouts in ringside.
No question about it. He's Oscar. He's still undefeated. He's still the champ. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, tomorrow night in Philadelphia, Mike Tyson will be fighting Buster Mathis Jr., and he expects to get a little bit more of a test than he got in his first comeback bout with Peter McNeely.
Although it may not have been vintage Mike Tyson, the result certainly brought back impressive memories of previous battles. The new Tyson era began just 7 seconds into his first fight in more than 4 years. A short but powerful right hand sent Peter McNeely reeling, and the much-awaited Tyson comeback was history.
You know, that was just basically a fight. I went in there, I just threw punches, and I caught the guy.
That wasn't what you wanted to do, though, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it wasn't a great tactical fight.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I'll be okay. As I continue to go on, I'll be all right.
Now, 4 months later, Tyson's comeback road continues in the form of Buster Mathis Jr., a straight-ahead brawler of a heavyweight with not a whole lot of power, a style which seems to play right into Tyson's hands.
Well, he's going to be in a lot of trouble, but his style of fighting is just, I can't see anyone fighting me the way he fights. His style of fighting, people, you know what I mean? That's tailor-made unless he tries something different. But there's no way he can win fighting me like that.
Well, tomorrow night from Philadelphia, we'll find out if Mike Tyson is right. Tonight here in Manhattan, we found out that Oscar De La Hoya was very right as he retained his WBO lightweight championship. We'll see you tomorrow night from the Spectrum. Let's go back to the press box.
All right, thanks very much, Larry. Busy guy, that Larry Burnett. New York tonight, Philly tomorrow night. Gets all the top assignments, doesn't he?
If I remember correctly, last night you said Jesse James Leija, not to underestimate him.
I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up.
Okay, for tonight's prime performance, we're headed to Winnipeg, where Darren Quint had a big night. First, he scores on the power play, getting it past Joaquin Gage. That was Quint's second goal of the season. But he wasn't done. Only 4 seconds later, check him out. Quint. He hits it off the boards and angles it in, tying an NHL record for the 2 fastest goals scored by a player, let alone a team. Oh yeah, teammate Teemu Selanne, he added 4 goals. Winnipeg is prime.
Prime Performance is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. flies Southwest, the low-fare airline.
Gotta Go's come in two kinds. Not so good.
That tooth has gotta go.
And good.
Got the flowers, Mark. Now, when are you sending you?
Well, for the good kind, Southwest Airlines has Gotta Go fares from $19 on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays.
I'm real lonely.
But hurry, because the going isn't always this good.
Mom, I gotta go!
Southwest, the low-fare airline.
This is it.
Your smile's too big. You don't want to appear overeager.
Just look at it. It's beautiful.
I love this blazer too. I wonder what it costs.
Just let me handle this. I'll play it cool.
Oh, look, it's got an airbag.
A V6 engine and four-wheel drive.
And it's thousands less than Ford Explorer or Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Man, this blazer's got everything I want. Yes!
Mr. Cool.
Chevy Blazer, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road at your Southern California Chevy dealer.
Yes!
Get to Montgomery Ward for $500 million in price cuts. It's all on sale with great gift ideas at our lowest prices ever. Save 50 to 60% on all fine jewelry, like your choice 1-carat diamond fashion ring for just $2.99. Save 55% on our entire stock of family outerwear and sweaters, like men's and women's sweaters for only $9.99. For great gifts at great prices, don't miss the $500 million price cuts this holiday season at Montgomery Ward.
I play because I love the night shift.
I play because on ice speeding is legal.
I play to see the smile on my dad's face. I play because champagne tastes best out of the Stanley Cup. I play for Prime Sports.
This 95 Cirrus is my third car from Atlas Chrysler.
I would come back to Atlas. In fact, I'm looking at a truck.
I've never been unhappy. That's why I purchased so many cars here.
The salespeople here at Atlas Chrysler are fantastic.
The selection was very good at Atlas.
I love my 95 Cirrus.
Come in today and test drive the all-new Chrysler Cirrus at Atlas Chrysler Plymouth, just off the 405 freeway, 4 blocks south on Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa.
Public figure in executive protection, threat assessment, and investigative services, West Coast Detectives, North Hollywood, California.
Just a reminder to all you Prime Sports West viewers, don't worry, we're starting over in just a couple of minutes, so don't touch that remote control. We'll have a full show coming up next.
We're out of time. We appreciate you looking in. I'm Randy Spiraghi.
I'm Leslie Goodell. Have a great weekend.
Continental Airlines, now among the best in the business at handling your baggage.
Press Box Wardrobe is provided by Dion Scott of Beverly Hills. Tune in tomorrow afternoon at 3 for college basketball. The Trojans go up against UC Irvine. And then at 7, it's Break the Ice, followed by the Kings-Toronto game. That's what's on tap.
Party, party, party. Now you can get your party going with Party Central Custom Catering from Subway. Skip the hassle with Party Central meat and cheese trays, garden fresh vegetables, zesty antipasto platters, and our mouth-watering sub platter. Or go with Subway's outrageous mile-long party sub. Order it any way you like it and as long as you want it. Call Subway Party Central today and get everything you need to get your party going.
Coming up on the Press Box, At the O-Arena, Shaq is back and on the attack against the Jazz. While in Houston, would the Rockets glide past the Kings? The Golden Boy makes his Broadway debut. Will he be a hit or a miss? And Dion may be a sports giant, but question is, will he still be a San Francisco giant? Out on the ice, the Stars were looking to upend the mighty Penguins. And in football, our buddies Birds flying north. So listen up, the press box is next, and we're an earful. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the press box. I'm Leslie Goodell, along with the one and only Randy Sparagi. Full night ahead on the show. Larry Burnett is in New York for the Oscar De La Hoya Jesse James Leha fight. We'll throw it out to him in just a bit. But first, the big man from Orlando has returned.
You are correct, young lady, and just in the nick of time, seeing as though the Magic was riding a one-game losing streak. If you've been out of touch the last 2 months and picked up your sports page this morning, you'd never know that Orlando has been without Shaquille O'Neal all season. The Magic 17-5 and on top of the Atlantic Division. That's without Shaq. What does the team do now for an encore with Shaq? Well, you start John Koncak. What else? First quarter, Penny Hardaway driving down the baseline, throws it down over the mailman, Magic up by 5. But it wasn't long before the Shaq made his debut and the fans were on their feet. He didn't disappoint them. Easy bucket there, Magic by 9. But the Jazz come back on the break. Jeff Hornacek lays it in. Jazz within 6. Then the Shaq does what he does best. Power jam inside. Shaq's back, and Orlando wins again. 111-99 the final. Shaquille had 26 points and 11 rebounds. And Orlando now 12-0 at home. Kings looking to blast the Rockets in Houston. Gary St. Jean's got a plan. We'll tell you what it is in a second. Clyde Drexler finding Akeem Olajuwon on the pick and roll. Rockets up 7 at the half. As for that master plan, here it is. Put in Mitch Richmond. Takes the three-pointer here. Knocks it down. Kings take the lead by 1. Then more Mitch Richmond. Another three-pointer. He had 47 points tonight. Kings win it 114-110. Hard to believe the Rockets beat Sacramento just 3 nights ago by 40 points. Trailblazers and Grizzlies, looky here. Vancouver wins it in overtime. That puts an end to the Grizzlies' 19-game losing streak. Should mention, they opened the season with a win over the Blazers, so I guess they have their number. Bucks and Pacers. In Indiana, Sherman Douglas showing off those road unis for Milwaukee. They got to get rid of them. First quarter, Reggie Miller to Mark Jackson. Mike Dunleavy saying, get rid of those jerseys. Still in the first. Jackson gives it to Dale Davis. Going to throw down that monster Jamola. Pacers by 20 at the half. Third quarter, more Pacers. Rick Smits gets it to Antonio Davis. Nice give and go down the lane. Pacers win it. And Dunleavy still wants to get rid of those jerseys. 112-95 was the final. The big dog, 22 points and 9 rebounds. Pacers have now won 4 straight games. Cavaliers and T-Wolves, that one goes to Cleveland, 100-88. Chris Mills, a career high, 26 points for the Cavs.
The Bullets hosted the Lakers tonight, and Los Angeles can't seem to get it together on the road this season. Although Cedric Ceballos is 5th in the league in scoring, averaging nearly 25 points a game, Nick Van Exel has been inconsistent, shooting just over 37% from the field. To make matters worse, the Bullets have Chris Webber back. Dale Harris just full of that holiday spirit. Third quarter, Bullets running. Robert Pack to Juwan Howard for the showtime pass, and Chris Webber's there to put it down. Bullets by 6. Still in the third, Eddie Jones will use Howard and blow down the baseline for a dunk and 1. LA took a 6-point lead. Bullets owned the fourth. Pack finds Webber on the break, and Webber, he takes care of that one too. Now there's more Webber. He just didn't stop. The steal from Van Exel. That doesn't happen much. He goes in for 2 of his career-high 37. Bullets win 122-114. Webber scored 15 in the fourth quarter. Bullets are 5-3 since he returned. The Celtics beat the Raptors 122-103. Dino Radja scored a season-high 31 points and 14 boards to get the Celtics to the 500 mark for the first time since November. That's of last year. Warriors at the Sonics. Not a lot of time for George to enjoy a break tonight. First half, Warriors on the run. Tim Hardaway, the no-look drop to Chris Mullen for 3 to cap a 19-7 Warriors run. But Seattle, they kept coming back. Gary Payton, the perfect lead to Sean Kemp, and man, he's good. Warriors by 5 at the break. Second half, tied at 99. Payton to Askew, to Hawkins, to Perkins, back to Payton. Who cans the 3? Sonics win at 108 to 101. Kemp had 32 points. The Sonics have won 6 of their last 7. And the Pistons beat the Nets 105 to 98. Grant Hill, he was big tonight, posting his second triple-double of the season with 19 points, a career-high 12 assists, and 10 rebounds.
All right, we got to take our first time out, but coming up, we got hockey highlights to show you. We'll also have some prime-time baseball news.
That's right. Will Neon Dion be on the Giants roster next season? We've got the latest on Primetime's baseball future. And Oscar De La Hoya is trying to bring the house down at Madison Square Garden tonight. We're there to cover it, so stay with us, won't you?
Press Box is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Fly Southwest, the low-fare airline. And by your Southern California Ford dealer.
You know, the Ford guys just sent me something. I wonder what they're up to now. Let's take a look. Oh, it's the new Taurus. Whoa. Oh, that's nice. Very nice. Oh, look at those lights. Wonder what they did to the inside. Oh, they put everything in one place. That's a great design. Everybody's gonna be copying this Taurus. Oh, there's a wagon.
Find out why. Pick up the register.
What a game! What a game! These are two great teams. Even the fans are getting in on the action. It's up, it's in, it's over! Why?
Find out why. Pick up the register.
Hey, Remington, shave this.
The newest Remington Triple Foil. The only shaver with 3 micro screens now has a 50% greater cutting rate for a close, smooth shave. The Remington Triple Foil. If you can grow it, we can shave it.
Welcome back to the show. It appears Deion Sanders is no longer welcome in San Francisco. He's no longer a 49er, and now he's not a Giant. Today, San Francisco designated prime time for assignment, which basically means he was cut. Sanders was dealt to the Giants in July as part of an 8-player trade with Cincinnati. He had 285 with 5 homers and 18 ribbies in 52 games for San Francisco. He also had some trouble in the outfield. Giants say they offered Sanders a new contract, but they weren't able to get a deal done. Some other baseball moves today. Reliever Jeff Montgomery has re-signed with the Royals for 2 years. Knuckleballer Tom Candiotti has done the same thing with the Dodgers. Mike Maddox re-ups with the Bo Sox for a season. And Pedro Martinez has been traded by the Padres to the Mets for outfielder Jeff Berry.
Moving to hockey, the Penguins were in Dallas tonight to face the Stars, two teams with few similarities. The Penguins have not ceased to amaze this season, thanks in part to the Lemieux-Yager duo, and currently lead the Northeast. The Stars, they're struggling as they hover just above the floor in the Midwest. Guy Carbonell and the Stars looking to trip up the red-hot Penguins tonight, but Sandstrom, that's Tomas Sandstrom, he wouldn't be stopped here. First period, he skates in on Darcy Wakaluk and skips it past him. Pens on top 1-0. Later in the second, Pens on the power play. Jaromir Jagr sets up Sandstrom in front. He gets his second goal of the night. Pittsburgh up 3-0. Third period, Pens cruising. Sandstrom to Mario Lemieux, and he's on fire this season. Penguins win this one 5-1. Dallas has allowed 34 goals over their last 7 games. And the Whalers beat the Avalanche 4-2. Brendan Shanahan had 2 goals and an assist to help snap the Whalers' 3-game losing streak. Devils at Red Wings. There's some dance fever going on tonight in Motown. You know that one, don't you, Randy? First period, Paul Coffey feeds Nicholas Lidstrom, who blasts one past Martin Brodeur, 1-0 Wings. Still in the first, Steve Yzerman. Let's fly. It's stopped, but Bob Airy skates in to knock home the rebound. 2-0 at that point, and the Red Wings win this one 3-1. Call it revenge for being swept by the Devils in the Stanley Cup Finals last season. This is the first time the Red Wings have beat the Devils since the 93-94 season.
The Ducks of Anaheim have to be feeling